Hi, welcome back to my vlogs. It is week 7 for my entrepreneurship and experience units. Today, what are we talking about today? We had a guest speaker in today. So this gentleman called Phil from Ascendify came in and he talked about marketing and sales, and we talked a lot about the customer interview process and how to do it and suggestions and like the stages to go through, which was really fun. So we talked a little bit about like market orientation, like interviews and customer fits. So to begin with, so like interviewing customers and really gaining like an idea of what they want. And we talked a little bit about how we've already kind of started our customer interviews. So I kind of wish we had this content a little bit earlier, just because it would have been good because we started interviews a bit earlier. But it's good to now have this and to be like pivot a bit because our original ones didn't work. But I guess that makes it a better learning experience. But stuff like just opening with like, hey, like I'm a university student, I'm doing this for an assignment. People are usually pretty easy to talk to, and so we talked about how people are usually pretty open-minded to those sort of questions, especially to help out somebody who's just genuinely asking. So then we talked about like market strategies, and so like based off the interviews that you do, what are the goals, what's your budget, what channels are you going to go through, what sort of numbers do you want to hit. So we talked about that, and then we talked about like the 4-7-11 rule, which was really interesting, and the idea that if other people have already done your idea or your product, your innovation, or you're campaigning for, then it's probably a good idea to look somewhere else for a different sort of idea. We looked at customer traction, which we've looked at a bit before. I think a lot of this stuff is reiterating and reinforcing like ideas and concepts we've already learned from an outside perspective. So we talked about customer traction and how like how we're getting that, how we're validating our ideas, are people actually interested in what we're doing. So like validation can come through waitlist. We talked about like waitlist because a lot of the time you'll click on maybe like a fake ad, like a faux ad or a prototype ad, and it will be like for a product and it'll take you to a website and it's like join the waitlist or something, and that's a good way to measure validation, as well as clicks on like ads such as that, like a prototype ad or anything, or lead magnets was also really interesting. Then we went through the sales like anagram of like talking to people. So sales, so S for service, A for ask, L for listen, E for empathize, and then S for summarize when you're talking to somebody, which is really interesting. And then after you kind of get through all of these steps, there was like when talking to customers. So you've gone through your questions, your broad, your interviews, you've got a product and you've got some traction. You're kind of onto that step of like, you've done your sales step and then your value proposition, and you present your questions to your customers or your potential customers, and then you close it off, which was really interesting. So that was it was definitely an interesting day. I don't think it was my most memorable one though, so I'm interested to see what we do next week.